A little bit of fresh parsley, a little bit of parmo, and that is pure Italian goodness right there. Hi everyone, welcome to Backyard Chef. I'm Rick. A proper Italian inspired minestrone soup, or as I grew up as a young'un, I used to call it minestrone. So we're going to make minestrone soup. Let's get on and do it. Come on, there's a whole bunch of veggies on here. And the pasta I'm using is San Remo macaroni. Cooks in 3 minutes, no problem. I've got a couple of tins of cartons of beans. I've got cannelloni beans and borletti beans. I've got tomatoes, tomato puree, bay leaf. I've got Italian herbs you can use. Pinch of basil, etc. Let's crack on and do it. There's a whole bunch of stuffs need chopping and dicing here. Okay, so we're going to start with this onion, if I can find a knife. Right, onion. We're going to dice it. Now, we're making a soup, so you decide how big you want the dices. Okay? I've decided they're going to be that big. Okay, now we want to see a little bit of this in there. You can go really small, fine dice, it doesn't matter. We're going to make it a nice rustic type soup, just how it should be. So there you go. So what we can do is grab one of these things and we can put the onions, carrots, celery in one bowl. They will start to cook off first. Celery. Now I'm not expecting you to watch me chop all the veggies, or start some and then we're just going to finish it off, okay? Move on to the next one. So we're going to be here all day chopping vegetables. So there's our celery. Again, we want some dice, yeah? Nice little dice on the carrots. Exactly the same. So there's one lot of veggies there, look. Onion, celery, carrot. We've got some green beans. Everything is cubed, top and tail of your green beans. Okay, green beans, exactly the same. Zucchini or courgette, whatever you know it by. Garlic, big as small as you like. That'll do me. Now we have an extra here. Okay, this is baby spinach leaves, and I'm going to stir this in at the end for extra goodness, okay? But the thing is, we're just going to run a knife over and we want some sliced spinach. Now of course you can just tear it up if you so wish. Back in that bowl. Parsley. It's a full veggie job, this, full of goodness. Big or small as you like. Potatoes, peel them or don't peel them, up to you. I'm peeling these ones, they're a little bit tired on the skins. I actually have some new potatoes which I could have used actually, but I need to get rid of these. If we don't get rid of these things, look, they're gonna have, we'll be growing them. We'll be growing them in the veg rack. Okay. Okay, again, it's cubes. And then all we got to do is open our can of beans. Look at this, we've got Italian beans. Get them open, we're going to drain them. We chuck them in the same bowl because we're going to chuck them in at the same time. There you go, our beans drained, we're ready to cook. So you want to bring in a pan. In your pan, a little bit of olive oil, flame on, and we're cooking off the onions, carrots, celery. In there. Little whiz round. Now it's an 8 to 10 on this. Just keep stirring it about. Soften up. I'm only doing a little bit of salt because I'm using veg cubes. And they have a little bit of salt. In there, a bit of pepper. And then we can always season a little bit more later. Now you've got to keep giving it a little move round. We don't want to brown off this really. If it gets a little bit tinged, don't worry about it. But we're just going to give it that little head start, you know, cooking in there together. So when you've had your 8 to 10, we're going to chuck the garlic in. There you go, clear the space in there like garlic. Just leave it 30 seconds and then we're going to turn it in. Turn it in. In there, potatoes, zucchini, green beans, all courgette, because there'll be someone more. 3 to 4 on this, just give it all a little cooking together. Now, we are using stock, so if you're worried about anything catching, a splash. Now for me, I'm going to get in with a pinch of Italian seasoning. If you don't have Italian seasoning, you can always use oregano and dried basil. We'll get that in now. Start to flavour up this, rehydrate. It doesn't really matter, you know, you could put all the fluid in and then put it in. But let's get some flavour cooking in here. When you've had about 3 to 4 in there, a good dollop of tomato puree, tomato paste. Now that's a good heaped tablespoon. Stir that through and we're just going to give that just a little 30 seconds. Just cook out and intensify that paste. Now there's a lot of flavour there if you cook it. If you just stir it in, you only get flavour, you don't intensify it. Obviously don't let it catch on the bottom. Little bit of stock is not a problem. It's like cooking and adding water. You don't want anything to burn and it'll evaporate. You don't put too much in, just enough to knock it down. Like that, look, you can't even see hardly any fluid in there. Right, tin tomatoes, if you're using chopped tomatoes, you just chuck them all in. Want the juice there. And I've got whole tomatoes as usual, and we're going to chop up. In with your pair of scissors as usual. Give them a chopping in the can, no mess. Chuck them in there. If there's any big lumps, run your scissors over. Stir in. In there with your stock. And bring it to a boil. What a bay leaf. Now we want to simmer on here. Now you don't have to put a lid on, you can cook it uncovered. But I want to bob a lid on. We're going to simmer for 20 minutes. And then we carry on with the pasta, the beans, etc. Okay, 20 minutes. In that time, if you put a lid on, you're going to have to come along and keep giving it a stir, just in case any of the veggies decide to stick to the pan. Or if you don't want to use the lid, don't put the lid on. And then what you're doing is you're watching the fluid level. Okay, you make sure you top it up if it cooks off too much. Okay, we've had about 20 minutes. We've got that going on. We've got those veggies start to soften in there with your beans. Now you can use 1 carton of beans, like I say, I'm using 2. This is more substantial. And this pasta apparently is a 3-minute cook. It's going in now. We're still cooking for 10 to 12. Stir it all in. And that is a fantastic minestrone soup. Minestrone soup right there. So 10 to 12 with the lid on or lid off, up to you. I'm going to try and keep as much fluid as we can. And then the last 2 minutes, we're going to stir in some spinach and parsley. Completely optional on the spinach, but I think it brings it, it makes it a really healthy soup. Oh, it's smelling and looking absolutely lush. Look at that. That is our minestrone soup. Our minestrone soup. It looks absolutely tremendous. That's what minestrone soup should look like. And then we're going to chuck a lot of spinach in. We'll have that lid off now, look. That is looking absolutely sensational. Now that is proper minestrone soup right there. You would just serve that like that. We'll have that bay leaf out while we can see it. There you go. There's a bowl of real goodness there. We'll take it to another level. In there with some shredded spinach. And we're going in with a little bit of fresh parsley. Save some for garnish. Give that a stir in. It'll wilt in. It will be beautiful. You will have strands of spinach in there. Okay, I'm going to be eating this like this in a minute for the video. Later on tonight, I've got some old rotisserie chicken here, and I'm going to break it all up and I'm going to cook it in there. So I'm going to have minestrone soup now. Later, I'm going to have minestrone with chicken. So I'm thinking we're ready to serve, don't you? Look at that. Come on. In there. A little bit of fresh parsley. A little bit of parmo. And that is pure Italian goodness right there. Nice little bit of melted parmo on the top of there. Make this fully Italian. Come on. We're in here. Oh, this is boiling. Oh, yeah. Oh, that is delightful. It's a little bit warm, to be honest. You've got a little bit of crunch left in that veg. Oh, it's the normal minestrone soup, you know, it's tomatoey. You got your veggies in there. I mean, it's very, very nice. Seasoned with that Italian herbs. Delicious. And that little bit of spinach we've stirred through there, look, you know. Most people just chuck parsley in there. But you know, that little bit of spinach in there brings that extra goodness. And that's what we want from a soup. We want a good soup, hearty meal on the table. And like I say later, I'm going to add chicken to this and rewarm it. There you go. That is sensational. And it's really hot. Slather some butter on your dinner roll and off you go. If you like what we're doing, that is such a fantastic, easy recipe to make minestrone soup. So there you go. If you do like what we're doing, and you do like minestrone soup, like and share. A big thumbs up. Catch you in the next video. Oh man, that's good.